Let's now have a closer look how the Clean Energy Transition Partnership is going to contribute to the SET plan. The transition initiatives are acting as interfaces to connect national RTDI communities in their particular field. But moreover, they are also linking the SET partnership to European initiatives in their particular field and in their particular SET plan action, as there are the European Technology and Innovation Platforms, the ETIPs, that are gathering relevant industry stakeholders from the sector in a dialogue with research institutes and the joint programs of the European Energy Research Alliance, the ERA. The implementation working groups, which bring together policymakers from member states to discuss which joint activities should be supported, laid down an implementation plan for the particular SET plan action, and other configurations that have been established in the particular technology area where the transition initiative is active. Let's take the example of the SET plan action 4. Here, the European Technology and Innovation Platform on Smart Networks for the Energy Transition has developed the vision for the Integrated Electricity System 2050 and broken it down to a roadmap how to get there. The Implementation Working Group 4 on Energy Systems brings together national policymakers to discuss the joint activities in the field of energy system integration and integrated regional energy systems. And the Implementation Working Group is taking into account the ETIP SNET roadmap and is listening to the experts from various ETIPs while formulating the joint innovation activities in the IWG4 implementation plan, which is the basis for member states' collaboration in this SET plan action. The ERNET Smart Energy System is taking up the implementation plan of the IWG4 and is implementing selected innovation activities that are appropriate for the instruments that the ERNET can provide. Also, a national stakeholder coordination group has been established that is working to link the different initiatives with the SET plan, within the SET plan action 4, and also connect them to relevant international initiatives in the field, like the relevant IEA TCPs and the mission innovation. The bridge community is gathering the European-funded projects that have been funded in Horizon Europe, and from time to time we bring together the ERNET knowledge community with the bridge community to collaborate on particular system integration topics involving the EU-funded projects and the transnational projects that have been funded by the ERNET. A number of success stories have been created over the last years by leveraging the various links between the national programs and their projects and the European initiatives in Horizon Europe and the SET plan. Let us have a look on some examples from the SET plan action 4. For example, the European architecture model for smart grids has become a tool and common denominator for smart grids development not only in European projects, but also in the transnational projects as funded by the ERNET Smart Energy Systems, and for projects funded in national programs. Another example is that the international knowledge on regulatory sandboxes, as it has been collected by the International Smart Grids Action Network ISGEN, has been transferred to and implemented by national programs and by national policies. A task force on energy communities in collaboration of the Bridge Initiative and the ERNET Smart Energy Systems knowledge community was able to provide a status update about first experiences with the implementation of energy communities in member states to policymakers and regulators within very short time, enabling a fast learning track in the member states to avoid the duplication of mistakes. And some more. To conclude this first session of our side event, introducing the CETPartnership, let us now listen to the voices from the European Commission and from some of the national program owners and funding partners that are active in the Clean Energy Transition Partnership. What are their expectations to transnational collaboration in energy innovation?
The session was hosted by Ludwig Karg, the head of the Knowledge Community Management of the ERANET Smart Energy Systems.
Now that we are talking so much about the CET partnership, maybe we should not only talk about it, but also visit. We have invited people that have been active in JPP SCS already, and now obviously are also in the CETP. I would like to call 3 people on stage that have been actively helping to develop the JPP and the entire CETP. First of all, I would call Volker Schaffler. Volker Schaffler is the head of Department for Energy and Environment Technologies at the Austrian Ministry of Climate Action and Energy, so colleague of Michael Hübner. And I call upon Lisanne Brummelhuis from the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate of the Netherlands. Welcome, Lisanne. And I call upon Ivo Krustok from Estonia. He calls himself a Green Transition Advisor in the Government Office of Estonia. That's a good name. But maybe first question again to Michaela. Now that we are talking about European level, EC, and now we have the representatives of the member states. Can research, development, innovation, and how can it help to overcome barriers between different governance levels? Or is there a barrier at all?
I think if we look at the partnership landscape, for example, we have under Horizon Europe, this shows that already measures are in place in order to involve, let's say, the various governance levels in the process. So, for example, we have the involvement of member states in the states representative group of joint undertakings and of co-programmed partnerships. There are various memoranda of understanding concluded between institutionalized partnerships and regions, for example. We have also topic in the Horizon Europe program in the wider, so widening the European research area part. So we have a topic there on the program level collaboration between member states, where it is about identifying common priorities between programs, not only at national but also at regional level, in an attempt to complement the approach we have in Horizon Europe, where we have upfront identified partnerships and missions with bottom-up collaborative approach at involving various levels to somehow continue the spirit of ERANET and joint programming activities we had in past programs. And also, I think the Clean Energy Transition Partnership, a co-funded partnership, it is also an example of how we can can involve various governance levels in research activities.
So, valued people from the member states, you have a hand from the Commission. Do you take it? How do you take it? Maybe everybody is invited to give a short input as to what are the expectations towards the CET partnership. Why have you been developing it? What do you expect? Maybe you give a minute or two. How do you feel? Shall I say ladies first, Lisanne? Is that fair in that case?
Of course. Thank you, Ludwig. And thanks also for the invitation. My name is Lisanne Brummerhuis. I'm from the Netherlands. And I work at the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy at DG Climate and Energy in the Energy Innovation team. And amongst other things, I work on international dossiers such as mission innovation and SETPlan. And unfortunately, not specifically on the Clean Energy Transition Partnership, as I'm replacing my colleague Ruben, who works on this important partnership. But of course, I know mostly what it's about. So your question was what the expectations are towards this partnership. Well, in general, for the Netherlands, international collaboration, also in the field of research and innovation, is very important. As you all know, we are a relatively small but open country, and our aim is to work together in various ways, bilateral, within regional frameworks, at the level of the European Union, but also beyond and globally. And we know and we have experienced that enabling Dutch companies and research institutes to work together internationally will help us to reach our climate and energy goals and our innovation goals. And besides that, the network around the Clean Energy Transition Partnership in itself is also very valuable. I think, we shouldn't underestimate, we can always learn from each other on how different countries approach certain challenges. So I think the fact that this also allows us to speak to each other is important in itself as well.
When we prepared for this session, you had your little daughter on your arms.
Yeah,
it's gonna be for her, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be for her, exactly. She's in the preschool now, so I have my hands free.
Thank you, Volker. Why do you do that? You took the step together with Michael Hübner and some others to create this huge partnership. Why the hell do you do that?
Thank you, Ludwig. Well, very warm welcome from Austria. My name is Volker Schaffer. I'm the head of department, as Ludwig said, and I have some experiences in doing joint calls myself, as I've worked in ENSCC, and I know it's more like the battleship of RDI function. So you need the black belt in RDI programming for coordinating and also participating in such joint programming platform as well. But for Austria, it's really important to collaborate in the development of energy technologies. I mean, particularly for a small country like Austria, we are very interested that our innovative companies participate in the prospering global value chains. I mean, the time yet isn't as the world 100 years before, where two inventors from two different countries invented the telephone by themselves. So we're together in a global value and RDI, the innovation chain, heading up to new solutions for the energy transitions. And then I would say in some areas, Austrian companies are global technology leaders, as for instance in the hydropower bioenergy, but the international ecosystem is becoming more and more diverse, and we expect many technological areas where Austrian companies could deliver specific parts and components. That's why it's so important. And the transnational collaboration project has been proven to be an important complementary format. And I have to say that in the ministry, we needed a lot of communication, that if you invest into energy funding in energy programming, it's not just on the national level, because in most points the party is going on in the national level. So what we expect from the knowledge community and the impact network to act as the catalyzer to accelerate the energy transition in Europe is that in Austria we have developed an outstanding knowledge in building technology, where I came from, for more than 20 years, from the passive house up to the plus energy districts. And in other areas, we can definitely learn a lot from other countries, as we do with, we're going on mission to visit Scandinavia or something like that. So we strongly believe that in the possibility to join the forces for the energy transition, we can gain a lot of knowledge and bring it into Austrian companies and to the administration.
It helps. My understanding is it helps definitely a so-called small country like Austria to make progress, to not stay alone. Is that the case?
Yeah, definitely, because we're in most cases we're not the technology leader for the big technologies. So we're just we just provide to the value add chains, and we have to get sure that our economy is as strong as it is in 20 or 50 years. So we have to do it now. We have to collaborate now in such networks and platforms.
Yeah. We have yet another small country, Estonia. Ivo, what are the expectations of Estonia, or your expectations towards such cooperation on member state level, member states with the EC and so on? Why are you in the CETP and the JPPS?
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me, and it's quite easy to be after so many other good speakers, because there's a lot that they said that I very much agree with, and I do see that you have invited several countries and all quite small member states in the European Union. So I guess some of the things that we look at are quite similar, but what I'm looking at the moment in terms of how the kind of joint energy research and kind of development goals are being set and how we are working towards them is that we have a huge benefit compared to what has come before. I think I was also quite active in during Horizon 2020 with the JPI water and climate JPI and other such kind of programming initiatives. And currently, I mean, we have from the European level, we have the Green Deal, and we have an understanding of our kind of long-term goals, both what we're looking for 2050 and also what we're looking for more in a kind of a shorter term, and understanding kind of from the perspective of where we want to be and where we want to go is a much easier way to do this programming. So now, I mean, there are things that have limited us in terms of where we're going. I mean, the energy crisis and the war in Ukraine is definitely something that makes things complicated. But I mean, you were talking about knowledge and information and the differences between these. I mean, we have known for a very long time that our energy systems need to change, that we need to do this transition. And we've had this knowledge that something needs to happen for a very long time. But I think now we really, I mean, due to the way that the world is currently working, we have the understanding of that we really need to do these things. And now I think there's a lot of really good incentive between the European Commission, between the member states themselves and the research community of really now having very clear goals, climate neutrality, fixing the energy crisis, and really the needs of how we want to do that. Because within the 30-year framework, we really understand what technological changes need to be happening. And I think this is why the Clean Energy Transition Partnership is so valuable. The pinpoints that have been set, the goals that have been set, are very well targeted towards the 30-year timeline.
Thanks for that, Ivo. I check my clock here, and I know that Michaela and Eric have to leave at 10:30 sharp. So you shouldn't leave before you have said final say to the member states. How do you support them? I know that the CETP and the JPPSS get funds from the Commission, but what else can they expect from your side, Michaela, Eric?
Yeah, yeah, if I may. So indeed, as was rightly said, a country on its own cannot develop all the. Presently, in the energy crisis, we are looking at how to diversify our energy supplies, rely as little as possible on non-reliable imports. But here we are discussing about RNI, so it's a bit longer term, medium long term.
Yeah.
And so your task is really not to turn the resolved energy sources dependency issue, but rather to tackle the value chains of clean energy technology. So really to build in EU value chains that are not too much dependent on critical materials or critical technologies from the outside. So that's why indeed the working at the widest level, and the CTP is a very good example, and also the projects at EU level where we want to have many countries, member states represented, but also looking not only at TSO level transmission, but also distribution, energy communities, demonstrating in cities, so that all the levels of governments are addressed in our projects,
Yeah.
so that it's really a complete value chain aspect that is tackled here. Thank you.
And from the RTD side, Michaela, what are the plans to cooperate with the member states? You have been talking about workshops and so on. I don't know.
Yes, I think indeed dissemination and communication it is very important in order to make sure that we are also aware here about
Yeah.
activities taking place in the member states. On a more practical side, for co-funded partnerships, we know that there are some operational issues that are important, transferring data on projects and proposals to our databases. Here we had some very good opportunities to discuss, including a workshop. But I would like to close by saying that here at the GRTD we also do the monitoring of the partnerships to see to what extent they deliver on the criteria framework and so on. And we are ready to wish a lot of success to the new partnership, and of course we hope that in the next biennial monitoring report on the performance of a European partnership, maybe we will showcase your partnership as a success story.